Before I start this video, I'm just gonna say that I made my whole reaction to it, and then I realized at the end I did not record any of it. Oh man, so that sucks. But anyways, I'll get back into it. I'll try to re-say everything that I originally said in the video, so let's get into it.
College protesters have finally gone home for the summer.
Finally, that's good. Look at that, all that damage on that grass because of whatever those things
They've
were.
left a lasting mark on history. Their legacy? A destructive trend in social justice activism.
I 100% agree with that. Like, these people have done things like that so much to the point where it's within college campuses that these guys are stupid.
It goes far beyond college campuses. It's self-centered, it's manipulative, and it's terrible for America.
I 100% agree with him saying all of that. It is self-centered, which is like these people use it as a means to justify them having better lives than other people and say, "Oh, I'm not," and say, "Oh, I'm not the problem. I'm going to do this to help people." In the end, it's just grandstanding because they're unwilling to actually put in the work to help other people and improve conditions themselves. So instead, they just tell you, "Hey, you're the problem of this. You're the reason why this is bad." And then at the end, it just happens that they can get away with not helping anybody and forcing all the blame on you. When in reality, a lot of people, they may say they're going to do all these things and help people, but in reality, most people are selfish and would rather put themselves first than anything else. Because at the end of the day, if you're unable to afford to feed yourself, why would you care about a political cause that's happening in like another country or another state? If it doesn't benefit you, why should you care?
I call them luxury beliefs.
That's a very that's a very unique quote or term.
I'm the rare PhD who grew up carrying everything I owned in a trash bag starting when I was 3. I
Uh
lived in 10 foster homes before I joined the Air Force. Then
10 is ridiculous. I don't really know much about the foster system besides how many horror stories I heard from them. So, yeah.
I went to Yale on the GI Bill and on to Cambridge. Along the way, I came up with the term luxury beliefs. They're ideas held by privileged people that make them look good, but actually harm the marginalized.
100% on point. I completely agree with this. They'll have beliefs that, like, on paper may make sense for whatever ideology they're in, but in reality are extremely harmful or bad. Like, a good example is saying all white men are evil, where what would happen with those white men is now, because you think they're evil, like, what's the reason for them to act nice and kindly to you? Because you treated them as evil. So now you're going to radicalize them, and in turn, you're going to make more people hate your group than you should, just because of a bunch of a small subset of idiots that have the loudest voices that basically control where things go because nobody's willing to fight against them.
It's like virtue signaling, with consequences.
Defund the police.
Why should we defund the police?
Trash take.
Take
Wait, if you look at that, they were all white women. I'm just gonna say this, that rich white women are probably the most privileged people in America, and therefore they live in nice neighborhoods with low crimes and everything. And when they say defund the police, what they're basically saying is that, hey, my community is fine. My community never has problems. Nothing bad ever happens here. Therefore, the place that you live is exactly the same, and that's why we should get rid of police. But then the moment the police are gotten rid of, the first people that would be attacked is them, because they have the nicest houses, the nicest things, the nicest places, and then they'll turn around and victimize themselves saying, why did someone do this to me? How could someone do this to me? And then they're gonna be like, oh, the police are evil because they didn't help me in this. And they're gonna do a complete 180, and it's complete bullshit.
defund the police. Classic luxury belief. That cause was most supported by the wealthiest Americans. It was least supported by poor Americans who are at least twice as likely to be victims of violent crime compared to the middle class.
100% agree with that. In poorer neighborhoods, there are more crimes, there are more horrific things that happen. And yeah, the reality is that you do need police and you do need law enforcement because there are just some things that have to be regulated by law because they are evil or disruptive to society.
Where I grew up, we were lucky there were police to call. Next up, decriminalizing drugs. That's another.
I'm immediately gonna say this. Some people like weed. I don't consider weed a drug you should be in jail for. But what I do consider drugs that people should be in jail for are like methamphetamine and all that stuff. But I'm not talking about the people who use them. I'm talking about the people who actively distribute, sell them, and make them, as they know how harmful they are and they don't care. As long as they get money in their pocket at the end of the day, they won't care what it is. So the people who believe these drugs are not disruptive or bad for people have never seen the horrific things that they do to people. They make them mindless zombies that can't live without it and destroy lives. Like a methamphetamine addiction is horrible. And there's a reason why that should be illegal versus other drugs like weed, which don't have as many negative effects compared to something as bad as methamphetamine.
Luxury belief.
All drugs should be decriminalized.
I want to decriminalize drug possession for personal use, and here's why.
For personal use, I don't know his entire point, so I won't go into it, but I at least agree that the people using drugs should not be the ones put in jail. At least most of them.
Should crystal meth be legal? The answer is yes.
Oh my god. Why is it that she looked stupid and then she said something stupid? She definitely doesn't know what crystal meth is if she thinks like a hard ass drug like that should be legal. Like the one time you're on it, you become a slave to it, and whoever deals it to you now has practically all control of you. So, for example, if they tell you, hey, kill your boyfriend and you'll get another dose, the likelihood of you doing that is astronomically high. And it's super hard to get off of drugs like that because addictions are just horrible to deal with, and especially one that comes from those things.
That movement has been most supported by well-educated Americans, less so by those without a college degree, who are more likely to experience the downsides of the drug trade.
Yeah, exactly, because they experience it and not them.
My mom once tied me to a chair with a belt while she got high.
That sounds horrific. Based off of the picture, I'm just gonna assume he remembers it from when he was like maybe 3, 4 years old. And if you have a memory where you remember that from that age, that is trauma. That is horrific trauma. Like, most people don't remember what they did at 3, 4 years old. But if you remember something, most cases it is trauma.
And it's not just me. Since 2000, the number of foster kids has doubled due to parental drug use.
Oh, exactly. See that? Because they either kill themselves or just can't afford the high anymore. And who knows what happens with them. And some of them just become crazy and sadly need to be taken away from their own children because those drugs have destroyed their lives.
Luxury beliefs are all over the place. Get rid of the SAT?
4 hours of my life down the drain.
SAT score.
Yeah, SATs, I would say that we shouldn't abolish them, but we definitely should. Like, there are some things on it that I believe aren't completely useful. They should be maybe structurally changed to get rid of some things, but not everything, as overall I see it as a benefit rather than a negative.
Scores help underprivileged kids get into college. Reject marriage?
True most of the time.
I find marriage completely pointless.
For poor.
Oh, let me give you my point on marriage, which my belief, I don't think it's super popular. I believe marriage should only be for relations to having a child or taking care of a child. I don't care if you're a couple of 2 men, 2 women, or a regular couple, or even what race you are in, I don't believe anyone should get married outside of the purposes of having a child. But that's just my personal belief, as usually if you get married and you don't have a child, that's just a net negative for usually one of you, and then one of them gets destroyed and now hates the marriage system and wants everything to be destroyed. Where marriage isn't a bad thing. It's just that most people misrepresent it as, oh, we love each other, therefore we will never not love each other. And then 1 or 2 years later, one of them divorces the other's life gets destroyed, and they have all this pent up aggression and hatred towards something.
For kids, one of the strongest predictors of success is having married parents. As a kid,
I agree with that. Having 2 parents is far better than 1, because in most cases you'll either get one of the 2 following, which is a stay-at-home parent, usually the mother, or maybe 2 parents that take turns taking care of you, and that's really nice because kids get the love and attention they deserve from either one or both parents, and then it helps them grow up to be better people. But if you're missing one parent, let's say you have a single mom that, in order to give you the life that she wants to, she's gonna need 2 jobs, she'll never be around you, and therefore the only way you're gonna get love and anything from anyone else would be maybe from other people, and those people could be bad influences. And because your parents are not in your life as much, it's easier to make a bad decision with a single parent, just because they can't always be there, because they're doing everything they can to help you.
I would have done anything to have had 2 stable parents. There are 3 golden rules of luxury beliefs.
100% true.
Did you notice campus protesters acting like refugees? Luxury beliefs help many elites feel like they deserve what they have.
Exactly, that is 100% true. They have maybe nice cars, fully paid colleges, everything going their way. And then because they feel bad about it because other people are struggling and suffering, they use this as a way to justify themselves having good lives and saying, yes, I do deserve this good life, while not doing any of the necessary sacrifices to actually help the causes that they fight for. Because it's hard to actually buy food and give it to homeless people for them to survive than it is just saying, oh, homeless people should be allowed to stay here, and then, maybe destroy something.
After all, today's progressive activists are twice as likely than average to make over $100,000 a year.
Damn, look at that. Twice as likely to make over $100,000 a year. 100,000 isn't even a small amount. That's like enough to be an upper middle class person. Hell, even in most cases, better than a lot of people. Because like the people that can make 100,000 a year, there are people that can afford things like Porsches, a nice house. They can actually afford buying a house too. So yeah, it isn't a small amount, even though some people may say it's not enough. Reality is enough in most states, besides maybe California and New York, but everywhere else it's like more than enough.
Why are you doing this to me? You stop!
By the looks of it,
The fact that they have her in this position is very weird, because like, was she arrested like that and that's how they chose to do it, or was she just struggling so much that they were forced to carry her in that way? That's something that I probably will not know because I don't know where the video originated from, but it's just an interesting take on at least what I see.
you would think these protesters were facing serious consequences.
This morning, police say at least 45 pro-Palestinian protesters were arrested at Yale University. Police say they were later released.
But the stakes
later released. Basically no consequences. That's like staying in jail for maybe a few hours and then being gone by it. That's not really a big punishment, besides maybe like a minor inconvenience.
are pretty low when you're released with no major penalties.
They deliver right here to the right.
Oh no.
The part that bothers
Okay, I see this as a huge problem You see how all these people are looking at him and surrounding him and then forcing him to stay there? Like, that is a scary idea, because what if these people attack you, kill you, rob you? Then the closer they get, and imagine if one of them like swings and hits you, and then in reality you're forced to but then you're forced to just immediately roll down the throttle and then just try to escape as fast as possible. Maybe you'll hit one or two of them, and then they'll basically say, oh, you're the bad person because you did this. It doesn't matter that they instigated it, started the fight, or even scared you into believing that you were gonna be horribly hurt by these people, and they use it as a self-justification for their actions.
Bothers me the most when the privileged claim to fight for the underdog, but actually hurt them instead. Remember when an heir and his fellow vigilantes faced off with a janitor at Columbia?
Oh god.
That was luxury beliefs in action. Privileged men wrestling a blue-collar worker.
Jeez, blue-collar worker. See that? And he looks Hispanic too. I'm just assuming, but yeah, privileged men, they'll be like, oh, you're the problem, you're this, when in reality, janitors are like some of the most important people. They're the reason why like your restaurants, college campuses, and a lot of things are clean. And disrespecting them sucks, just because so many people don't see them as actual people with lives. They see them as just something that is always there. And because of that, they don't matter.
All in the name of the marginalized.
It's just scary just thinking that you're locked in with a bunch of crazies.
Of course, not all protesters are super privileged.
I repeatedly said that my family has been killed, and that is why I am here.
Aww.
And as I was saying that through the megaphone, police officers snatched the megaphone out from my hand and threw it behind them.
And it's great that people with privilege care about injustice, but too many of these people don't know what they're protesting.
Exactly, 100% on the dot. 100% correct. These people don't know what they're protesting. They just know that they're protesting, and that's the only thing they care about. They don't care about what their views actually mean. They just care about grandstanding for something because it makes them look nice in front of maybe their peers, friends, or whoever. And in exchange, this is making a lot of college campuses look bad, because when you think of the faces of colleges, you don't look at the valedictorians, you don't look at the people who are going to make the world a better place, or are going to be the new geniuses or the new tech guys of the world or whatever. You look at like these people protesting for stuff who actually don't know what they're doing, and then because of that, most people hate college campuses now. And while I agree the majority of stuff is completely useless, there are still a few things that should be completely respected and adored from them, such as doctors or lawyers, because those are important jobs and they're needed in society.
Among these white, woke, pampered children from wealthy families, there's a complete ignorance about...
Yep, exactly. I don't even have anything to add. I just wanted to agree with him here.
The complexities of this issue.
Luxury belief activists turn causes into props that transfer attention to where students really want it. On them.
What the fuck are they doing? What the... I don't get this. I don't get this. This is weird. I don't know what they're doing, but it looks weird.
Themselves.
Do you want students to die of dehydration and starvation? This is like...
She has that voice. You know the voice I'm talking about. The voice of, oh, I'm better than you. I'm always correct, and you're evil because you don't agree with me. She just has that voice.
Like basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Like, could people please have a glass of water?
Martin Luther King. The classic
Here's what
days
protests look like
an actual
without
protest.
Beliefs. The protesters of the 60s had more skin in the game, yet almost always practiced nonviolence.
Exactly. This is actually a good protest with good ideals, where they don't say that they're against something and then do violence onto someone else. Like, for example, let's say you're a group for the LGBT community, and in order to protest against bakeries not willing to make cakes or whatever for you, you burn it down. All you're doing is making a bunch of Christian people and bakeries hate you, because you're basically saying, this is what we're going to do to you. We're going to destroy your lives. And you just radicalized one person completely against your movement, because whenever they think of your movement or your people, they're going to be like, oh, they burned down my bakery, they're evil people, they're satanic, whatever. They're gonna say all that stuff, and then at the end of the day, it doesn't help your message, it destroys it, because that's the reality of what a lot of these people do.
Sure, no movement has been perfect. But today's students oversimplify complex geopolitical issues into narratives of good versus evil, while
100%. I'm just gonna say this, like, the majority of these cases, when it's good versus evil, it'll be I'm the good guy and you're the evil guy. For example, the Nazis, when they were doing what they were doing, they said God is on our side. Basically, it's an easy justification for we're doing all this stuff, but at the end, God is on our side. Therefore, we are right because God is all-knowing, all-seeing, and all good. And because he is, we are right. So it helps them justify their actions with basically moral grandstanding of we are right. And then just replace religion on what I said with some other belief, and you basically get what they believe in.
Destroying property and harassing people along the way. So, how should they protest? Amplify the stories of everyone except yourself.
Exactly.
Amplify the stories of victims. And if taking a stand means you don't get a degree or a job, don't protest the consequences.
Oh, yeah, they'll like destroy something and then be pissy that, oh, I lost my college degree. Oh, all this money is down the drain. When in reality, they're the ones who fucked their own situation to destroy it. When in actuality, they fucked up their own situation, discredited their movement, and then lost everything that they wanted from the college and then complain about it. Like a good example, at least in terms of gaming, would actually be Minecraft. Some worlds would say no griefing on a sign. Someone griefs the world and then they're mad that they got kicked out when they knew exactly the rules and the consequences. But then they'll complain about it like, oh, I didn't deserve to be kicked out. That's just a oversimplified example I could think of.
Accept them. Instead, when Savior Theater is done for the day,
look at all that
campus
trash.
Protesters have the best luxury of all. Someone else cleaning up the mess.
100% of the time. Because at the end of the day, like, trash isn't a problem because the garbage man picks it up. But the moment he's gone, your entire neighborhood is filled with trash and it becomes a problem. These people are invisible because you don't see the problem in front of you because someone else got rid of it for you.
Quiet and mostly empty UCLA campus except for cleanup crews.
And look at that, they even needed whatever that thing is called. A bulldozer, I think. Yeah. Overall, great video. And let me tell you, this just shows that, for example, this is the New York Times. I don't really like them that much because some bad actors in it. This just shows that even though some things you may not agree with or like are there are some cases in which you can listen to their side and their opinion and then collectively choose whatever you agree with or disagree with and figure out your own reason why. It's better to think for yourself why you dislike them rather than have someone else tell you. So yeah, this was my reaction to it and hopefully you enjoyed it. But yeah, also Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, I'm gonna probably record tomorrow one of the videos for it. So